Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back, and today I'm gonna talk to you about design systems. You probably have noticed that there is a lot of buzzword and a lot of design trends which include design system these days. And that's why I want to talk to you about it, because it's quite important, especially if you have a growing, scaling design team or a range of products or features which you have to maintain. Now, a good example of design system is the Lego, a toy design system which started back in the day. Legos were really heavy, bulky, mechanical type of toys which were either made of wood or metal. It didn't allow to expand their reach and, let's say, make the toys which kids would really enjoy and get addicted to, get hooked to, but also which would improve their production line so that they can come up with a system. So they come up with this brick system, and all it is just basically a square component with a rounded top which attaches to other bricks, and then the application of it is basically infinite. And that's probably the best example of a design system I could find in real life which any person could actually relate to or understand. It allows you to keep things consistent across every design iteration, every product, every service you produce. It allows you to do so rapidly, which is best bit, because you don't have to come up with new ways to answer the old problems, let's say. It allows for easier handover and collaboration with your teammates, with developers, with product people in general. And lastly, it allows you to think like a developer, which is really important for any designer, because too often we tend to design in a dream world and then show it to developers and they say, hey, we just can't do it. But if you have a design system and design library, you can always update incrementally, which means that it doesn't break the system and it doesn't require additional time to develop things. So the not so great things about design systems. Well, number one is that it tends to take a lot of time to set up. You have to employ systems thinking as well as the design thinking to actually make it happen so that your users who are, let's say, designers, are actually using it and maintaining it. So it might take a lot of time and a lot of structure, and how to implement a process excellence so the design system actually sticks. Number two, it can constrict new ideas. It can stifle the innovation. And this is the biggest concern of all the designers, because we think that, oh, if we have a template and we have a pattern library, we cannot deviate from there and we cannot improve it. Well, it's true to an extent, because you always gonna default to that design system instead of coming up with new ways, which is good and which is also kind of bad. So the key principles to any design system is that, one, it has to scale and scale systematically. It has to allow for collaboration and real-time updates. Again, about maintenance. The key to any design system that you have to easily maintain it. So if you cannot do it real time, you cannot do it online, and let's say two different designers cannot work on it simultaneously, well, it's not really a design system, it's more, again, a design library. And lastly, you have to be flexible enough to use that design system in an agile way. It should allow for product evolution. If you want to start with design systems, I would recommend, first of all, thinking about the process. I like to use Atomic Design System Construct by Brad Frost. Basically, he's stating that you should start by defining atoms, then construct those atoms into molecules, then produce organisms and templates and then pages, and then log it into a system which anyone can access and use. For us as designers, most relevant is the first three steps, so the atoms, molecules, and organisms. Atoms, in Lego's case, could be all the different structures which make up a minifigure. If you would want to, let's say, construct molecules out of those atoms, you would probably want them to attach to logically relevant and consistent components. And in the end, once you have those pieces together, you can just arrange them however you want, but if you put them in one piece, you get an organism, which is our minifigure. Now, the best examples of design systems in action, I think, is gov.uk, because it has over 700 digital services with one powerful system in place. Even if you go to, let's say, their design systems homepage, you're gonna see right away that we have getting started, styles, components, patterns, community in that structure, but the atoms would be styles, the molecules would be components, and organisms would be patterns. And they took that same logic and same approach but just renamed it. It's one of the most well-known design systems that is user tested, proven successful, and it answers the business needs, and it just looks consistent. And I personally worked with this design system, and I think it's really great. You can basically take their developer toolkit and then prototype it right away in code, because the design system is so simple and so consistent and so easy to update that you don't have to, let's say, even create a sketch file to update the buttons. You can just write a single string and it's all there. So I created the design system on a technical level and created in a really good structure to start using. Another good example is Google's material design. That was one of the design systems which were industry redefining. So they came up with a brand new way, which is kind of like a print-like design system, where you could basically use the same atom, molecule, and organism structure to produce your designs. And if you have tried material design, you probably know already that you can, with like a really easy way, apply stylings and structural layout parameters to any component and create systems which are really easy to skin for developers as well as designers, so really easy to maintain. So now my recommendations of how to get started. You kind of have to pick a project that's been proven by, let's say, user testing, development, and all the other dependencies, that it's a good enough project which you can actually transfer into the design system and keep on reusing the components and patterns, because again, it works for your users, it answers a business need, hooray. Then you would take those design patterns, you would deconstruct them, and let's say if you would use the atomic design, you could rebuild the design system and then pass it to a different project or different product iteration if you're coming up with new features. Another way to do so, which I call the plan B, is that you can start the design system from scratch, just as you, let's say, enter the design phase. Then you ideate on different ways to solve a problem. Maybe have two people, one to produce the design solution and second one to actually take care of a design system and rebuild the design system manually as you answer that problem. So some of the tools which I personally find really useful when starting the design system or maintaining it, I think the best example is DSM, so Envision Design System Manager, which you can basically start a trial in a free version using Envision's Craft plugin for Sketch. And that's really easy to download. It's free, just download it. If you tick it in the Craft settings that you want to start with Design System Manager, then you can start importing your successful Sketch mockups, which, let's say, user tested and everyone is happy. You can then port it and collaborate with other people by inviting them, and you can keep that design system up to date. And this is probably the best example of standalone app which allows you to do so, because I couldn't find any other apps which would be done just for design systems management. So check it out. Another thing is Figma. So Figma allows you to collaborate real time and design things real time, which basically is a little bit of a step down from Design Systems Manager, but it has everything the Sketch would have, as well as allows you to, let's say, make duplicates and copies of your designs and then produce some style guides and design systems. Another quite powerful way to start with design system and maintain them is Zeppelin. Again, it's not really ideal, but with the new iterations of Zeppelin, you can also add components. You can handle the symbols of sketch files, and you can produce style guides which are quite interactive. I've seen some designers who handle their design systems with it. That's why I put it in the list. If you're already using Zeppelin, it is a good way to start. So I hope this video was useful and it gave you some thoughts of how to start with design systems. In reality, they're a really good tool and really good process enhancement in design teams as well as product teams, because it takes a lot of headache away from every designer who, let's say, wants to keep things consistent. So if you like this video, give a like, subscribe to this channel, leave a comment down below if you are already dealing with design systems in your day-to-day scenarios as a designer. And as per usual, stay tuned for more material, and I'll see you next time.